word is a lot easier to pronounce, so I'm going to stick with that for the time being. Or the common name corkwood tree, and that's those two. There's another one there as well, and you'll see a few more smaller ones around the track as well. They're also farmed around these regions. They are native to this area, and the Ulysses do prefer those leaves, at least the Ulysses here in this forest. And it's for a little component in those leaves called atropine, in what it's farmed for, and also what the Ulysses is after. You might have heard of atropine before. It's in a lot of pharmaceutical use, mostly eye drops, but also things like certain anesthesias, heart medications, and certain seasickness medications as well. So some of the plants in the forest as well that I'll point out are quite versatile also to human use, and some of them, most of them actually, are found only in these forests or some years ago. Again, 170 is the very early Jurassic era, when dinosaurs actually first started to evolve, and some of these plants have been here for even longer. These tree ferns here are an example, hence why I've marked this underneath, so you can see. You probably see a lot of these around, especially in these forests. People that live here, of course, probably don't really think too much about them, but they are some of the oldest, or if not the oldest trees on the planet, and they still survive very well to this day. 90% of the plants around us are of the flowering group. That includes all your bamboo, your palms, grasses, weeds. Pretty much the majority of the plants you find around are going to be in that flowering group, which only started to evolve just as it does indicate that these made up the majority of their diet. That's how we do know that's what they ate. And as these tree ferns got very big, we can tell, of course, that they were tall dinosaurs, apart from just the bones being very big as well. So that gives us the feeding habits, that they ate the leaves directly from the top. And as I said, as we go further down on the other side of this hill, there are the two really big tree ferns, and you'll be able to see them. If you imagine the dinosaurs eating them, you'll get the impression that they were quite tall. Now, just as the dinosaurs did, humans can actually eat the tops on those tree ferns as well. The very tall ones being the giant tree ferns. There are a few other species around, but with the bigger ones that I'm referring to, humans can eat the tops of those leaves or certain forms of the leaves. Some of them that are really, really young, you'll notice are curled up, and that's called a fiddlehead. And that's the part as humans that we can actually eat, and the more curled up they are, the more fresher they are. And they do taste a bit like asparagus. So if you don't want asparagus and can climb very well, you can eat the tops of those leaves. Now at the top of this hill here, as we go around, there'll be another group of plants we call the epiphytes, also known as the air plants. They don't actually grow on the ground because they don't have any tree roots. They never really evolved them. They've got their own little interesting way of growing, being on the outside of another tree, which is basically what epiphyte loosely translates, coming from Greek, just like a lot of English words do. But a lot of these that I'll show in the first part will be ferns, but epiphytes aren't always ferns. They can be a lot of other plants, including flowering plants, orchids, and also different types of cacti. Now on the left-hand side you'll see some examples of these air plants or epiphytes. Northern parts of New South Wales, and a couple other species also found in Papua New Guinea. But the gympie stinger is the most potent of all the stinging trees. So that one there is number one on the list of most dangerous stinging trees, the gympie stinger. Also, from a few stories I've heard, they don't make the best toilet paper. So be careful what you use as leaves in place of toilet paper in these forests. Also, the entry will stop again because there is one of our rare trees. And it's our camera tree. You probably see it on the right hand side there. Very ancient lineage of trees. You don't see these too often. If you do see a camera tree, you're probably on someone's property, to be honest. But we do take a photo on tour, so that's why you have one there on the right. And when we do take the photo, you can purchase that at the end, down from tropical trees, which you should walk past after leaving the platform. So on the count of three, we'll say whiskey, which I think is better than cheese. Alrighty, ready guys? The front camera. Count of three. 1, 2, 3. Whiskey. There we go. At the end of the tour, if you want to. Also, it's there so we know we're not losing anyone on this flight. Alrighty, we ready? So I've just put the ballast tanks on, or ballast tanks, bilge pump, sorry, so that we're pumping the water out and it should get inside the duck. There's a little bit that seeps in there. It's nice to keep it out because that can lead to a rust later on, so we do try and keep the insides all nice and dry. I'm not engaging the propeller yet though, I leave that until it's deep enough and when we really need it. Running it dry can actually do some damage to the bearings, so we keep our propellers turned off and drive around on land. The rudder though, that's actually connected at all times via a bunch of steering cables to the column, so even the rudder will be moving left and right. Now on the right hand side, no crocodile, but a large lizard you'll see on top of that branch. And at this point I will engage propeller. So everyone can see just on this bit of a stick or branch sticking out of the water with those pandanus behind him, at the very top, there is a water dragon, eastern water dragon, large male as well. You see the black stripe behind his eye. Everyone spotted him? Yep. So you're just sitting up there wondering what we're doing. He's pretty used to us by now. He probably sees these army ducks on a daily basis. So he's quite content. He knows we're not going to go around anywhere closer to him. If anything, he'd probably tell us to go away with his head nods. So if you see a little water dragon, or large water dragon even, bopping their head, that's their way of telling us to go away. And I've actually spotted another one too. He's just got his head just out of the water, his neck as well. I think it's a he. I'm trying to actually get close enough to see if he's got those stripes behind the eye. I think it's a young male. Yep, just popping out of the water there. See those little branches. A bit of a lacy pattern, little stripes, so I'd say it's a young male. I could be wrong though. But if it is a young male, you want to be very careful because water dragons are quite territorial. So if he gets too close to the other larger male there will be a bit of a fight, and being the younger, smaller one, he may come off second best. Now being a water dragon as well, and as you can see they're quite well adapted to the water. A lot of animals are. With lizards you don't see that too much, as lizards are being cold-blooded, they do lose their body temperature quite rapidly. There are other aquatic lizards. I think the marine iguana is the only lizard that's suited to a marine environment, which also they do lose their body temperature quite quickly, and if that happens they can go into hypothermia, so basically a big sleep which the reptile won't wake up from. Being cold-blooded, they do use the environment to warm themselves up so they can keep their metabolism high, which also links to their energy, and if their energy starts to drop, they can't really move about as quick and hunt for food. So it is vital you see them also in the sun, getting all that sunlight which warms them up. When they're warm enough, they can move about and go into the water. And they swim quite well. They can stay submerged for up to about 30 minutes or half an hour. And they use that big powerful tail to propel them through the water in pretty much the same fashion as a crocodile would. Up here in these trees, you're seeing a little bulge there. So I was talking about some of the termite mounds, how they're made in the treetops. And that's an example just up there of one of our termite mounds. Very old one though. You'll see it's got a few holes in it too, and it hasn't been used as firing practice or anything. The birds do that. So little kingfishers we get here, they tend to dig big holes out the side of them. They're not actually after the termites. They might eat them as a bit of a bonus, but they're more after the nest itself. That's how they build their own nest, by splitting termites, kicking them out, and using it for their own. And the reason for that is those termites keep a really nice consistent temperature for themselves, and other birds like that idea, and it's a nice place for them to raise their little families. Being nice and consistent is vital for a lot of egg-laying animals, such as birds. Also, with the sun out over the water now, we'll see if we can keep an eye for any butterflies. This tends to be when you see them, mainly the Ulysses that I was referring to, and on the odd occasion you might see a large bird wing flying around, usually nice and solo. We'll see what we can find. There have been a couple of sightings today of the Ulysses at least. And this tree just hanging over the water, you might have spotted these before. This is an umbrella tree, and they do quite well in shady areas, and is also why you might see them sometimes as a house plant. So they can grow in the houses often, which of course is quite similar to a shady area in the forest. As long as they get the right amount of rainwater, they're quite easy to grow almost anywhere. This tree just hanging out of the water here is another corkwood tree. So the first plant I pointed out for the Ulysses butterfly, you see a blue butterfly flying around. If it's the female, we're probably looking for this tree here to lay the eggs on. A nice healthy one with lots of leaves is usually a good candidate for the Ulysses butterfly.